Today we're going to explore Gene Key 26 or any planetary placements in the sign of Sagittarius between 17 degrees and 22.3 degrees. This Gene Key is a part of the channel of surrender in human design. The shadow is pride, the gift is artfulness, and the siddhi is invisibility. Programming partner is Gene Key 45, shadow dominance, gift synergy, and shadow communion. This Gene Key carries the archetype of the trickster and the performer. At its core, it is driven by a deep ancestral fear of lack, a fear that there is never enough, leading to an overcompensation through control, exaggeration, and the need to prove one's value. Even when those influenced by this key appear successful on the outside, internally they may feel an emptiness, a sense that they must constantly win or sell themselves to stay ahead. This unconscious drive fuels the shadow of pride, but when transmuted, it blossoms into the gift of artfulness, and at its highest level, it dissolves into the siddhi of invisibility. At the shadow state of pride, we're talking about the ego's manipulation that is rooted in fear of lack. At the shadow level, any planet placed in Sagittarius between 17 degrees or 22.3 degrees, or if you have this Gene Key 26 in your hologenetic profile, at the shadow level, this Gene Key is driven by the fear of not having enough, which fuels an unconscious need to project an image of success, power, or worthiness. This isn't just about material lack, it's the deeper fear of being insignificant, of not being valued. Because of this, the person develops an ability to manipulate perception using charm, storytelling, or exaggeration to craft a reality that makes them appear more prosperous or influential that they truly feel inside. How does this show up in our life? For example, someone will be inflating their achievement to gain admiration or respect. A person constantly seeking validation through status or recognition. Salesmanship that uses tricks, deception, or psychological influence to close deals. A defensive reaction to criticism, as if their survival depends on appearing successful. An internal battle between self-worth and the fear of being exposed as not enough. At its core, this shadow isn't about arrogance, it's about survival. The ego believes that if it can convince the world of its worth, then maybe it will finally feel secure. But no external validation can truly quiet that inner fear. At the level of the gift of artfulness, we have influence with integrity. So the same ability to influence and persuade becomes refined, honest, and purposeful. The person still understands the power of perception, but instead of manipulating, they use it skillfully to inspire, uplift, and create meaningful impact. They no longer feel the need to prove themselves. Instead, they let their actions and presence speak for them. Their mastery lies in their ability to communicate ideas in a way that others naturally resonate with. They are the true storytellers, speakers, leaders who can capture attention and move people deeply. They can be the business person who sells with authenticity, making others feel truly valued. Someone who navigates social dynamics with ease, understanding what to say and how to say it. A negotiator who can find win-win solutions using charm without deceit. At this stage, there is still an element of performance, but it's done with honesty, integrity, and mastery. The person is no longer faking prosperity. They are embodying it naturally. The highest vibration is the Siddhi of Invisibility, or the disappearance of the ego. At this level, the entire structure of needing to be seen, quote to quote, dissolves. The person no longer feels a need to influence, a need to sell, or a need to prove anything because they are at peace with themselves and the flow of life. This state of invisibility doesn't mean literal disappearance, but rather a total absence of egoic resistance, because there's nothing left to defend or prove. Their presence becomes weightless, effortless, and profoundly influential without trying. So we have a spiritual master who guides others without needing recognition, someone who can blend into any environment and yet subtly influence everything, or a person who operates with pure trust in life, unattached to material gain or image. At this level, true prosperity is achieved, not through manipulation, not through influence, but through surrender. The fear of lack has completely vanished, and in that space, there's an infinite abundance of everything. Now that we've explored the shadow of pride, the gift of artfulness, and the Siddhi of invisibility, it's time to see how this gene key expresses itself through different planetary placements in the birth chart. Gene key 26 corresponds to 17 degrees to 22 degrees of Sagittarius, a sign known for its expansiveness, storytelling, and pursuit of higher truth. When a planet resides in this range, it takes on the themes of influence and mastery over perception. But whether this energy manifests through manipulation or authentic leadership depends on the evolution of that planet's expression. Each planetary placement will express the theme of this gene key in its own way. Let's start with the sun. If you have the sun in the sign of Sagittarius between 17 degrees and 22 degrees, 22.3 degrees, then your identity revolves around influence and personal impact. You naturally attract attention and recognition, often possessing a magnetic charm and an instinct for storytelling. Your journey is about shifting from seeking validation through performance to using your presence to uplift others with authentic leadership, ultimately dissolving the need for external validation. If you have the moon in this gene key or this placement, the moon here creates an emotional need to be acknowledged for one's impact. At the shadow level, this can lead to emotional manipulation or seeking comfort in crafting an image of success. However, at higher levels, this placement allows for emotional intelligence and the ability to understand and influence others deeply, making them skilled at nurturing and guiding people with wisdom rather than control. Mercury. Mercury here creates a gifted communicator, storyteller, or negotiator, someone who understands how words can shape reality. At the shadow level, there's a tendency for exaggeration, deception, or clever manipulation to gain influence. As this placement evolves, Mercury transforms into a master of authentic speech, using communication to educate, inspire, and shift perspectives with truth rather than illusion. If you have Venus in this placement, Venus here attracts relationships where charm and influence play a strong role. In the shadow, this can manifest as using attractiveness or social skills to manipulate others or maintain control. However, when elevated, this placement embodies grace, effortless magnetism, and the ability to uplift others through genuine connection and generosity. These individuals become natural peacemakers and bringers of prosperity to those they love. If you have Mars in this gene key, Mars brings a hunger for success and recognition in this placement, sometimes pushing individuals to use aggression, trickery, or competitive tactics to win. In its highest expression, however, this placement masters strategic action, learning that true power comes not from brute force, but from skillful, well-timed influence. These individuals can become brilliant negotiators, business leaders, or athletes who use their presence to inspire rather than dominate. Jupiter here magnifies the desire for prosperity, wisdom, and influence. At the shadow level, this can lead to overpromising, indulgence, and self-importance, or seeking success through shortcuts. As this placement matures, it brings true prosperity through wisdom and ethical leadership, allowing the individual to become a teacher or guide who expands others' perspectives with integrity. Saturn, the lesson of true value in this placement. Saturn here tests the relationship with success, pride, and influence, often bringing challenges around trust, self-worth, and ethical leadership. Early life may involve feeling unseen or struggling with self-promotion, but through maturity, this placement teaches the lesson that true authority comes from authenticity rather than manipulation. Those who master this placement earn lasting respect through disciplined, wise leadership. Uranus here is breaking the illusion of status. It disrupts traditional ideas of success, influence, and prosperity, leading to unconventional ways of gaining recognition or challenging societal perceptions of power. Individuals with this placement often reinvent marketing, media, or storytelling in groundbreaking ways. At higher levels, they help others see through illusions of status and embrace true value beyond material success. Neptune in Gene Key 26. Neptune here blurs the lines between illusion and reality, amplifying charisma, imagination, and visionary storytelling. At the shadow level, this can manifest as delusions of grandeur, spiritual deception, or escapism through false narratives. When transcended, this placement becomes a source of deep spiritual influence, where words and presence effortlessly transmit higher truths. Finally, Pluto in this placement brings a deep karmic lesson around power, influence, and control. This placement often indicates a journey from manipulation or obsession with status to profound transformation. When mastered, Pluto in Gene Key 26 gives an individual the power to reshape society's perception of success, using their influence to uncover hidden truth and dismantle illusions in leadership, media, and business. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for listening.